Good morning, you guys. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Our group's title and our project was Latino Institute for Financial Equality, and we made an acronym of LIFE. So in case you want to keep it simple, giving new meaning of life to all Latinos and building a financial foundation for the future. So this is going to be our agenda for our presentation today. It's pretty simple, along with the paper that Yasmin passed out today. We're going to go with the introduction. So, of course, my name's Didi Aguayo. Gio, I almost said Yasmin, Felisa, Paola, Eva, and Rose is all our team members today. We're going to discuss the vision, the mission, the values, the learn, focus, align, and execute. So our vision, okay, so this was very obviously a collaborative approach, and I just have to say that about the team. This has been a fantastic experience because one of the things that we have to do is what is important to us, right? So everyone had a stake in the game, if you will, and part of the vision was one of the biggest parts of it because of the direction. This will tell you what we're about, the overall picture of it. So LIFE is committed to building a financial footprint within the Latino community by educating students and families on the importance of financial security and the stepping stones needed to establish a solid financial foundation. And I'm not going to read all the slides because you guys can read that. I'm just going to go over pretty much the topic, PowerPoint. This is our mission. I kept it very simple because if you look up the definition of missions, they're supposed to be very simple, one sentence. And I just wanted to make sure it was the who, which was the Latino community, what we're going to do, we're going to build the wealth, and how we're going to do it through financial literacy. The values. And this was another one that was very vested because the person, which was at this one was Felisa, she's in the community and she knows more or less our target audience. So this was very simple for her to come up with because one of the things was she's like, I know that audience, I know I deal with them in my professional life. And so that's where we got the values from. It was very much a hands-on, like Erica said earlier, I'm the subject matter expert in that one. So this one's pretty easy as well. So to this, I'm not going to read it, but what we want to do overall was the culture, competence, and excellence, and do it well, right? And then have accountability. So not only do we want to educate our culture or our Latino community, we want to service them well, and we also want to have accountability. So one of the things is, you always hear those fly-by-night stations, they raise a lot of money and the money's gone. So accountability was a really important issue for us. And then I'm going to pass it to Gio, excuse me.
So along the lines of what Didi was saying, we really wanted to understand who we were going to service. Obviously, California is a large state, so we really wanted to define who we could service as we piloted the program. So in doing our research, there's 53 million Latinos living in the United States. That's expected to double by 2050. 2018, the majority is expected of youth will be of color, with the majority of young workforce by 2030. So it's significantly increasing the Latino population. Today, 100 of the largest counties have 71% of Hispanics. LA has 4.8 million Hispanics. That's 9% of the nation's population. 55% of U.S. Hispanic populations resides in either Florida, Texas, or California, with 14.4 million here in California. We wanted to really understand where the majority of the Latino population was in California and really focus on those counties. And it happens to be LA, Riverside, and San Bernardino. So when we look at our customer target, we are going to target customers in those specific counties. 38% of the state population in California is Hispanic, with the median age of 27. So it is important to start financial literacy if it hasn't started at a young age, because it is the future of the state as well as the community growing. The median annual personal earnings for 16 and older is $20,000, with the household income of $43,800 for 3.4 people per household. The poverty rate is 31% for 17 and younger, and between the ages of 18 and 64, it's 20%. Now, 43% of Hispanics have home ownership, with 51% in the K-12 school system, but only 16% hold degrees. Now, when we looked at the, in terms of wealth, the median wealth of a white household is 18 times that of a Hispanic household. So really understanding why there's that gap. We define household wealth as accumulation of assets, including house, credit cards, savings, checking accounts, stock, mutual funds, and retirement accounts. minus the sum of debt, your mortgages, auto loans, credit, and card debt. 53% of Hispanics understand that saving for retirement is important. What does that look like? How do you do that? So in terms of that, we really looked into financial literacy and why it's essential and important. We defined it as possessing the skills and knowledge on financial matters to confidently take effective action that best fulfills an individual's personal, family, and global community goals. So there is a need to educate on skills by focusing on the long-term vision, planning for the future, enabling informed financial decisions, and establishing and maintaining financial healthy habits. You know, it's a huge wealth gap. Median household net worth for a white family is $113,000, $6,300 for a Hispanic family. So we really want to address that, and with financial literacy, we'll be able to look at some of these gaps. Really, yeah, it's a huge gap, and that's why it's so surprising. When you have 14.4 million in California alone, we really need to address that with the median age of 27. So there's a huge need to make sure that this is happening. We looked at some of our competitors. The National Foundation of Credit promotes a great national agenda in terms of financial literacy. However, they're not specifically focused towards the Latino community. One of our core goals is to offer that cultural competence. So that's a gap that we can fill there. With Hispanic Wealth Organization, they do discover efficient ways for the Hispanic market to manage their personal health, and they do offer cultural competence services. However, they're located in Georgia, so that's a gap for us. They have a really great structure set up, and we can bring that to California. Financial Literacy Month is one of the largest, or is the largest nonprofit offering these services and financial material. But again, it's not targeted to the Latino population. Now, Bill AB 166 adds instruction from 7th through 12th grade. So it's great because it includes budgeting, managing credit, student loan, and debt. So it really gets our students at a great age. But again, we need to offer these services to those that are out of school now. And with that, I'll give it to Felisa.
Thank you.
You guys don't mess around, huh?
So Tomasita and I were tasked with the focus section of the paper of the strategic plan. And we really thought the best way to organize the research as well as our thoughts was through a logic model. And so a logic model enables us to identify our inputs, which is what are the assets that we have as an organization, and as well as our long-term goal, which is to narrow the wealth disparity between Latinos and their white counterparts. So we use the long-term goal and backwards mapped. So if this is the goal, what programs must be in place and what are the target subgroups to meet that end goal? So our competitive advantage in the marketplace is that we have a combined 50 years plus of nonprofit experience in Southern California, in particular with the Latino community. So we are culturally and linguistically competent. We feel that our competitive focus, our niche, is the Latino community, and we identified some subgroups that I'll cover now. But we know from research and we know from our experiences that the one thing that we need to do with Latinos is really modify their financial behaviors, right? And so the research also showed that Latinos 18 to 25 are highly engaged in financial mainstream institutions, and I think Gio noted that. But those that are near retirement, 56 to 65, have the lowest bank ownership accounts. So that's a problematic dynamic. Within that pool, we have the unbanked, meaning that they have no bank accounts, or underbanked. They may have a bank account, but rely heavily on alternative financial services, lending circles, pawn shops, relatives. So that became our target subgroup. High school students, 11th and 12th grade, college students, 1st and 2nd year, our young professionals, so those that are entering the pipeline for their industries, and families earning 150% of the federal poverty guidelines. So that's about 40,000% for a family of 5. And the unbanked and underbanked would fall under that category. Our winning proposition is really to phase in our programs. So for our high school students and our college students, we design life-ready programs, which would be filtered in through the school system. For our families, we have Family Life, and for our young professionals, Life Ahead. As you could tell, we didn't roll them in simultaneously because we really feel that it's important to learn from the programs that we're implementing the first 2 years and then implement our 3rd program. And once we have implemented and codified the curriculum and our activities and services, then we could look into scaling up beyond LA County and also charge a fee for service because we need to make sure that we diversify our funding pool. For the communication plan, we have 3 goals in mind. to raise the visibility of the wealth disparity. I think here I noticed that some of you were really surprised to know that there was that gap. So we need to raise visibility so that people really understand why we need to support this cause. We need to recruit clients and disseminate appropriate information about the different programs that we offer. And we need to diversify our operating budget. So we were strategic in identifying 4 subgroups because we could then tap into corporate, philanthropy, state, and local funding. And our communication plan also needs to be tailored to the different demographics. We know that young Latinos gravitate towards social media, whereas lower literacy and older Latinos may have low literacy rates. So we need to do infographics, telenovelas, something that is disseminated through Spanish media. So this plan is looking at how do we identify the needs of our population, and then how do we communicate, and then how do we evaluate whether the need was met. Thank you. Do you need help? Should I met the mano?
Thanks. Met the mano. All right, guys. So Didi and I were tasked with the Align portion of the project. So what we wanted to do is, first of all, we broke it into 2. So how we were going to assess our success between employees and then our participants and those taking advantage of our program. So on the employee part, we recognize that our most valuable asset as an organization is our employees. So we wanted to make sure that they were always aligned to our values, our mission, and what we believed in. Otherwise, they couldn't turn around and give the services that we wanted to give to our customers. So we would do to make sure that they were all aligned, we would do a 30, 60, 90 evaluation plan. Once we do that, so 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you would evaluate them against our core values, our mission, make sure that they still belong as, good employees within our organization. After that, we would do face-to-face meetings. We were thinking either quarterly or every 6 months, depending on the need and how well they were acclimating, just to make sure that they were fitting again into the culture, the mission, the organization. They are the foundation of our organization. If we don't hire the right people and we don't keep the right people engaged, they're not going to be able to provide the services that we want to do. So in terms of our clients, we wanted to do something similar. So we wanted to make sure that we completed a survey to measure the impact that the organization was having within the community, as well as also doing questions that were specific to our program. So what we recommended as well was doing some sort of a 30, 60, 90 for our customers so that we could assess and have one-on-one meetings with all of the people that were going through the program initially to get feedback from them. And then for each of the programs that we offer, again, we would do the survey, we would solicit feedback, and then we would have them also do an entry strategy plan, because we felt that that would engage them and then make them more, feel like they were more of a participant of the program, as opposed to just getting a lot of the information. They were more actively participating. And then that's how we were going to evaluate the success of our program.
Thank you. All right, ladies. So Rose and I were tasked with the execute portion, which is basically how we're going to implement this plan. And as the bankers of the team, we basically put in our experience as far as being the bankers. So first and foremost, we want to investigate what current programs are offered in our target communities and learn what financial literacy projects banks currently offer within the community. So what this means is, depending on the different markets that we're in the communities that we're in, every bank offers different services to the community. Some banks in some areas are highly involved, some aren't, and it's about, you know, sending out that task force of employees to really understand what areas are being served well, and that can very much vary on whatever manager is in that area. So to understand every bank's policy, to understand every bank's level of CRA involvement, Community Reinvestment Act, and how important it is to them to actually disseminate this kind of information to the community. So that's first and foremost. We want to understand what other banks are doing for the community. Developing curriculum that revolves around the organization's hallmark programs. So Life Ready, Life Ahead, and Family Life. So depending on the different level of programming, you know, within our first, second, and third year, we would have to come up with curriculum based on all of these different levels of the programs. So, you know, we would be coming up with, you know, retirement planning starting from high school age through, you know, family to early career. So it would have to be an extensive building up of curriculum of all levels. And what would happen is that, say someone would walk in to our facility and, you know, we would give them a full evaluation on where they believed they were. And then depending on perhaps a test that they may take of ours, we would then put them in the right curriculum for them. So we would cover all aspects of financial planning, retirement planning, college planning, basic banking services. So all levels of finance would be covered in our curriculum. 3 minutes, okay. Develop pre-assessment tools in the above areas. Like I said, taking a task, developing agendas, curriculum and training, seminars within the community to understand who our audience is, and initiate the facilities search process through various outlets, including nonprofits, city departments. So basically trying to see in our community who would lend out their facilities, who would let us borrow their building in the early stages until we could actually get somewhere to teach.
So some of the things as we would execute, we would select 5 to 7 partners in the community, such as banks, insurance companies, which uphold our mission and align with our values. We would research 7 to 10 corporations who understand the economic values and potential impact of the Latino community if they're better financially educated and committed to investing resources in the target audience. This would also help, I mean, coming from corporate America, there's a lot of, just like Jasmine had indicated, there's a lot of sponsorships, and for us to get funding, this is a great program. From my previous role as a banker, I was a branch manager in the Boyle Heights and the Lincoln Heights area, so I know this program would be very, very beneficial, and I know we would get great funding. So. This would also align the life values, high school curriculum to the nation's college and career ready standards known as the Common Code standard, and then forge partners with local school district as well as charter management organization that serve predominant the Latino community within an urban footprint, which would be, as an example, LAUSD. So.
Okay. Amazing presentation you guys did. I'm not an expert, but this gave a lot of really good information. I thought you guys did amazing. So I thought everything was great. I had a question for Felicia. The logic model, I love the 1 to 5 year plan, and then you guys had specific 1 year. So my question was, is that going to be simultaneous as well? So because like, I know when I'm working on project management, like year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are all happening, but then the second year, you're still going to be doing year 1 and year 2.
Right,
Okay.
so we're just building upon, we're scaffolding the program
That was my question.
that we're developing. Yes.
Okay, yes, Josefa?
Maybe I missed it or something, but since you're dealing with a large Latino population, is it going to be a bilingual program?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so once, you know, in the actual research, we show that because of our monolingual population that we anticipate having, specifically with our immigrant population, then those programs would be Spanish geared.
Yeah. The curriculum would be bilingual.
Yeah, bilingual.
And just by those shared stats in itself, if we didn't even have it in our plan, it would have forced us, if we want to be successful nonprofit, we would have to mold to being bilingual because of the audience or the clients that are coming to us for help. Just that target audience in itself is bilingual. So we would have to adapt to that.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies. That was awesome. Thank you.